Welcome to the fourth video in this series of the 2024 TransContinental Race number 10. In this video, I will record my progress from the overnight stop in southern Germany to the start of the first mandatory parcours in Slovenia. So I'm coming up to the German-Austrian border, and I think it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had a very long sleep last night, just trying to recover. So I have a really big day in the saddle today. This is going to be the main most important day. Try to see if I can stay with the race. So I'm just coming up to Salzburg now, and then Salzburg, that's in Austria. Now I'm going to make my way across the Alps, two massive climbs to a little border town on the border of Slovenia. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough one. So I'm just going to try and hang in there. Now that we're here in Salzburg, I'm going to try and see if I can get something to eat, get some breakfast in, and take it from there. Okay, speak to you later. Now, I didn't have a specific sleep strategy in mind. All I intended to do was ride as far as I could go, and then try to sleep as much as I needed to be able to feel refreshed and keep going. So I left Roubaix at 8 p.m. on the 21st of July. That is the start of the race, and I rode for 24 hours to my first overnight stop, which was in St. Gouar. And there I had a really good sleep of about 5 hours, and I left early the next morning at about 5 a.m. in the morning, and I then rode for almost 40 hours to my next overnight stop, which was in Aschau im Chiemgau, which is in the southern portion of Germany, and that's in the most recent video, which is right on the border of the Austrian Alps. I lost a lot of time in that section. As you can see, the distance from Roubaix to St. Gouar, and then from St. Gouar to the southern border of Germany, the distance was almost equivalent, but I lost a lot of time because of all my navigation errors. And so that's where I got really depressed, and I really thought I was going to actually have to quit the race. But at this little town in southern Germany, I had a solid 8 hours of sleep, and that's where we catch up with me now in this video. My intention here, once again, is to continue to ride as long as I need to until I can get to a place that I feel comfortable to sleep, and when I feel I absolutely need to sleep. And as you'll see later in the video, this is almost 40 hours of riding, which includes the mandatory parcours, and to get to the city of Ljubljana in Slovenia, where I will once again have another solid 8 hours of sleep. So without any kind of hint, finally I've gone from Germany to Austria. No border post, no way of knowing that you crossed over. Just seamless. Culture, everything is exactly the same. Languages, everything. As I crossed into Austria, one of the things that really struck me were these glacier valleys. Now, glacier valleys are valleys which have an absolutely flat bottom with these precipitous sides of the mountain, and they were caused by a glacier sliding through this valley, scouring away the bottom and the sides to cause this U-shaped or box-shaped kind of valley. There are castles, as many as you've seen in Germany. Lots of plains in between the big mountains. My GPS route didn't take me directly into Salzburg, but it took me just along the southern borders or southern edges of the city of Salzburg, so missing the main highways. And with this, I went through the little district of Golling, which is part of the biggest city of Salzburg. This is where the bike path is going to take us through this castle somewhere in Austria. It just looks oh, I don't even know the name. This is Salzburg. Oh my gosh, this is Salzburg. Just incredible. You can see down there is the main road, and yeah, we're gonna go through this castle. I don't even know if I'm allowed to ride through it, but we'll find out. Now, I actually did ride up that red carpet strip all the way into the castle. And when I got into the castle, I was met by the curators of the museum, who looked at me quite amused and explained to me that this was actually a museum and you weren't allowed to cycle through the castle. They explained that this was a castle that was built in the 13th century and now was a museum and had many different kinds of exhibitions. That the main road that I had seen at the bottom was actually the route to take, and I was actually supposed to go right back out and ride along the route and take me towards the Alps. Golling is a city at the foot of the Alps, and once I went through Golling, I entered the Alps. One of the things that I really quickly had to learn how to navigate were the tunnels that led through the Alps. And in this situation, I came across my first tunnel on this route, and I had to stop, ask some of the workmen along the side of the road if I was allowed to pass through, because if you pass through a tunnel during the TCR and it's a forbidden tunnel, you are automatically disqualified. So I stopped, asked them, and this is the result. So I wasn't sure if we could go through the little tunnel, so I asked some workmen. They said no, I have to go over this tunnel, and I'm glad I did, because look how pretty it is. A little store here, lots of things for kids. Of the mountains. There's also like big. I would have just ordered this if I didn't go over the tunnel, and you may just see a little bit of the tunnel in the background. So yeah, very, very interesting. So from riding on bike paths to now learning about tunnels, it's all part of a learning process. I crossed the Salzach River at the town of Vorwerfen as I made my way deeper and deeper into the valleys south towards the major climbs of the Alps. Once I had crossed the Salzach River, I started my climbs into the Alps. Now this is a view looking back across the town of Vorwerfen deep in the valley, and unbeknown to me, this climb would continue for at least another 700 meters of elevation gain in the brutal heat. So I'm just on my way to Villach. I'm going through the Alps, and this is the Alps in Austria. They are absolutely stunning, and it's beautiful, but it's so hard. So I think this particular climb is 900 meters in elevation, and now it's just 286 meters to go. So just less than a third of it. And oh, it's been a long day in the saddle. Hopefully it'll be done soon. This is probably the flattest section, because the flat section is between 6 and 8, and the steep ones ramp up to 12%. So yeah, I have my work cut out for today. There's another pass like this again that we have to do, so I just need to get over this one. So I've survived that first climb. It was really tough, very long, just less than 1,000 meters of climbing, and I'm going through a valley, which is just awesome. It's green and beautiful. There's at least one castle that I can see, and I got to meet a few people, a couple from Bristol and another couple from Germany, Belgium. So yeah, it's been great. Not as isolated as what it was in the first part of the race. Now we are coming up to a second climb, which is going to be equivalent to the first one. Same kind of elevation gain, but apparently a little bit shorter and steeper. So I'm probably just going to walk it again. So we'll see how it goes. It's now, I think it's almost 4 o'clock. And if it takes me another 3 or 4 hours, hopefully I'll be close to Village by midnight. And then I can try to find a place to sleep and rest. Okay, I will speak to you again a little bit later. Just as much as the ascents were steep, the descents were just as steep, some of them reaching 17% as well. And my speed going down those descents was just incredible, especially with all the weight, my extra weight of my body, as well as all the weight that I was carrying in my bags, bike bags. It just meant for a crazy descent. And I went so fast that there were many times that I was worried that I wouldn't be able to make the corners, or at least take the corners safely. So I had to apply my brakes very often all the way down those extremely long descents. And some of them were, I think they were like close to 10 or 12 kilometers long. And after a while, I could actually smell my brake pads on my disc brakes actually starting to burn. I could smell the smoke. And I can just imagine, I didn't have time to look down to see them, but I'm pretty sure they would be red hot by the time I reached the bottom. So although the descents were welcome, they were extremely scary. And the hills, the ascents, although those were extremely difficult, they were probably the safest part of the journey. So I'm getting pretty good at this walking business. I should have called this TransContinental walking business, because I think to do more walking than riding. This is the second mountain we have to ascend in the Alps, and the gradient is like between 11 and 15%. Oh, it looks like a little dip here. Maybe a nice 8%, but probably not for long. So I'll just keep walking. Yeah, this Austrian bunch, pretty straightforward, eh? They just tell you as it is. 1500 meters, 15% gradient. Yeah, I think we just did 2.8 kilometers at 15. There were ramps of 16 as well. But anyway, can't complain. It's not going to help bring this mountain down. Gotta just keep moving. Night fell by the time I got to the city of Village. Now, I had expected a tiny little village in the mountains, but this was a massive city with major highways. I was fortunate enough to follow the bike paths into the city without too many problems, and I got to a gas station and I went to go and have something to eat, to drink, just have a quick little sit down and rest. But then I thought to myself, I'm not actually feeling that tired, and I'm really so close to the sort of the first parcours that, you know, what's the sense in trying to get a few hours when I could actually just push through and get to the start? And I was really anxious to just try to get moving. So I didn't sleep and I just continued on my way. Now, going from Village to the Italian-Austrian border, or Austrian-Italian border, was completely flat. There was no elevation gain, just completely flat. It was going through a valley. And when I got to the Italian border, it was all closed. There were no guards, nothing. It was just completely quiet. This is, once again, I wasn't sure if I could just go through the border or should I wait until dawn until I can get a passport stamp. But I looked at my time and I realized, you know, I've come so far. I'm not going to lose more time just sitting around waiting for this border to open. So I went through the border and I rode through Italy. It wasn't actually very far that I went through Italy, and then once again I came to the Italian-Slovenian border, and this too was completely closed. It was just a tiny little sign saying, you know, this is the border, and that it was closed at the moment. But I knew that Italy and Slovenia are all part of the European Union, so theoretically there should be free movement across these three borders. So I didn't feel too bad, and I just pushed on through the borders and into Slovenia. And in the next part of the video is me starting the major climb through Slovenia to the base and to the start of the first parcours. So you can see I've got through to Slovenia, and yeah, so I had to go through the Italian border to go into Slovenia. You probably can't see me at all, right? No, it was all closed or dark. Well, I'm hoping because it's Schengen region I don't have to go and get my passport stamped. And yeah, coming up here was actually pretty interesting. Lots of little houses, and it looked quite a developed area. And this massive mountain here is like, just like, seems to emerge from nowhere. You know, it was completely flat all the way from the town of Villach, and then suddenly you've just got this massive mountain. So I'm busy on a climb. This is my 8th out of 10 climbs, so there's 3, this is 8, 9 and 10, so we've got 3 climbs left, and hopefully we'll get to the start of the parcours and see, hopefully by then it's dawn, and by that time I can ride through and try to finish this first parcours. Yeah, okay, speak to you again soon. The road surface alternated from tarred surfaces to gravel surfaces to cobbled sections, but what was consistent was that there was a constant elevation gain, and we climbed all the way up to at least 2,000 meters. Along the way we went through these tunnels that were hand-hewn through the faces of the rock, and these tunnels took us all the way up to the start of the parcours, which was the Mangart, which was the highest point in the Austrian Alps. Well, a picture will not be able to describe the beauty of this place. It's incredibly beautiful, just incredible. I mean, it's so rugged. It looks like limestone. Once again, Mark Lawrence will have to tell me. It looks like limestone, and it's just so rugged and pure. I think just so pure. We had to do a little loop. We had to come to the top of this mountain, do a loop around the top, and then we've got to go down and then up one of the next mountains again. It's a little bit like Cape Epic, you know, just like up this mountain, then up that mountain, you know, just for fun's sake. Anyway, yeah, it was a tough climb. I struggled on the climb. It was really hard. I did a lot of walking, but walking is good for you. I know, they always say that. All these doctors say, go walk, walk is good for you. So I was walking. Okay. All right. I'll hopefully speak to you on the next climb. Bye. Oh yeah, sorry. This is the start of the official parcours 1. So that is the start parcours we did. Now this is the parcours 1 that we have to finish, and we have to go to checkpoint 1. I will stop this video at this point because this is actually the start of the first parcours, and the first parcours was an extremely difficult section of the race. It was probably the most difficult section that I had experienced. It definitely deserves its own video. So I will describe the first parcours in the next video, and I hope to see you all again next week. Until the next time I see you guys, please ride safely. Cheers.